Hello and welcome back to Town of Salem. Our name is George F. Will and we are the mayor. It's the summertime, which means a lot of, frankly, immature players have returned to playing Town of Salem, and that has two effects. The first is that the servers are kind of in a rough state, and I've been struggling to record good content because a lot of the games are being decided by people just disconnecting, which is really unfortunate. If your jailer just never even connects to the game, it's kind of hard to win as town. It becomes a little bit more of an evil-sided game if you just remove jailer, made it a 14-person game with jailer not on the roll list. But the other problem is that you get a lot more games like this, and I think this is a great example of it, where some people just aren't playing to win. They don't have the right mentality going into a team-based competitive game, and it's awkward too because a lot of these people would insist that they do play to win, right? If you ask them, they would insist and they would believe it in their heart of hearts. They are convinced I am the sort of person who's playing to win. I'm trying to win, and it's other people who are to blame, even as they do crazy things. Now, Town of Salem has never really been some top-tier competitive game. Even at the highest levels, even at 3,000 ELO, you'll see people goofing off. You'll see people doing crazy off-meta stuff because they're trying to have fun, right? At a certain point, you've played a lot of what the game has to offer, and there's, even though it's competitive multiplayer, a lot of the strategies, the meta is kind of set in stone. People like to do off-meta stuff to have fun, right? It's never really been a try-hard game like League of Legends or Dota 2 or something like that, but it still has sort of the same dynamic, that there is just kind of vaguely this competitive impulse that people are trying to win in ranked, and you encounter the same sort of mental problems. People who insist that they're playing to win but instead are AFK in Fountain or intentionally feeding their lane or something along those lines, whatever the equivalent is for Dota 2, League of Legends, or some other multiplayer team-based game. They're just not trying to win. And they'll give all sorts of excuses. They'll say, well, I never had a chance of winning anyways with this guy on my team, or this guy didn't deserve to win. They imagine themselves as some sort of vigilante or martyr. I lost the game so that this guy who doesn't deserve to win, so that he doesn't win. Let me get back to that in a little bit and discuss what's happened in the game. I'm Mayor. I asked for TP Low to be on me. It was. Serial killer just suicided into me night one. Bodyguard died. Jailer did not ask for TP Low, and they died night one. Dinu claimed TI day one. Sana claimed TI day one. Sana is now recanting their claim of TI and saying that they are vigilante. Dinu is coming out as sheriff and saying that K is suspicious. K reveals as retributionist. Salty J counterclaims retributionist. And we also have Saint Kingmaker say that Sana is suspicious. Saint Kingmaker says that Sana is suspicious. So the correct lynch here is Sana, right? Either Master Dinu or Saint Kingmaker is probably executioner. Neither Sana nor K were visited, so we know they weren't framed, according to Spy at least. And K is claiming retributionist, which means he should be able to confirm himself by raising the jailer. We probably shouldn't lynch a retri claim here, right? Really, we should be lynching either Sana, Master Dinu, or Saint Kingmaker in this situation. And because two people could potentially be executioner, it's probably actually more reasonable to lynch Sana in this case. I vote for Sana, but then the vote comes down 6-6. All 12 people in town have voted. And to have some sort of trial today, as opposed to not having a trial, I vote up K. K unfortunately posts a really bad defense. He says that Sana hasn't claimed. This is a really bad defense. Sana has in fact claimed twice. That's the broader problem with them, right? This guy should be saying this guy should be posting a better defense, but in any case, he's just struggling. And interestingly, did not push the vote on Master Dinu, right? Instead pushed the vote on Sana, which is also kind of awkward. And he dies. And this is, in fact, our retributionist. So now we have two confirmed evils, Salty J and Master Dinu, and we have two vigilante claims, Milwaukee and Sana. So even though we hanged retributionist, we've confirmed two evils, we have two TK rolls, or two TK claims, it looks like. This should be still a very winnable game. Unfortunately, we do not win it. I'll explain what happens right now. That way I'll have a large sort of uninterrupted block of time to talk about mentality and how you should be thinking about competitive multiplayer games. But here's what's really going on. Saint Kingmaker is doctor. He is not sheriff. He simply does not like Sana. And he has decided that if Sana is on my team, then I want to lose. And if Sana is not on my team, then it's perfectly fine that I claim that they are evil and get them lynched, right? Sana is not Vigilante. Sana is a fairly poor player, as it turns out. They claim TI, and now they claim Vig. They are actually veteran. And Milwaukee, who is veteran, or not veteran, is Vigilante, also played in the game with Saint Kingmaker and Sana, where Sana did something that they didn't like. And so instead of shooting one of the two confirmed evils, is going to try and shoot Sana, who is alerting as veteran. And so we lose the game. From this position, we cannot win. Our roll list is such that there is no way to recover majority. I reveal today, we end up lynching Executioner, Master Dinu, and that's game, right? We don't have a way of keeping me alive. We don't have a transporter. We don't have an escort. We don't have anything that could potentially turn the game around for us. So the game is already lost at this point. We can play it out. People are really upset, really unhappy. They're calling to lynch this person or that. Saint Kingmaker basically pretends that they're Jester. The game is lost at this point, though, is what I want to say. And it's all because Saint Kingmaker decided to make a really poor play, if you want to look at it in a really beneficial light, a really benefit of the doubt way. But there's no other way to say this. The guy threw, right? He didn't like another player on his team, and so he faked a sheriff claim and said that the guy was suspicious, and it cost us the game. It cost us the game. We had two towns vote up K. It was just not a good idea. We vote up Saint Kingmaker here. The moment he gets voted up, we must know that he's either neutral evil and Mafia is just throwing him under a bus for no reason, or he's town. So I have to reveal and put up Master Dinu. We could basically put up anybody who guilties this here. All the evils out themselves here. But again, we don't have a way of recovering majority, so we're already done. The only reason this guy got put up was because he wasn't evil. Yeah. Nothing we can do. Sana's very upset that I am going to reveal and inno this, because they're pretty convinced this person is evil, but this guy can't be evil because of the votes, so we have to vote somebody else up. But again, no way of recovering things. Okay, so back to the discussion about mentality. A lot of people, they say that they're playing to win, but you see them AFKing in Fountain, you see them doing plays like this because they just don't like somebody on the enemy team, and they rationalize it. They say, oh, I couldn't win with that guy on my team anyways. Or they say that guy didn't deserve to win. They talk about deserving, like they're the ones who get to make that choice. The only way that you advance in a properly made ELO system, and I'm not claiming that Town of Salem has one, but the only way you advance in a properly made ELO system is by winning in circumstances where you didn't deserve to win. The only way you advance is by upsetting the system, is by saying to the algorithm, look, I took a team that you didn't think was going to win and I won with it. Therefore, you need to rate me higher, right? I actually deserve to win. I should have won that game, right? I did win that game. And so you need to raise your expectation of me. If you never beat expectations, if you never outperform the expectations of the algorithms, you're never going to advance. Again, that's not particularly true in Town of Salem, because the more you play, the more you advance in Town of Salem, I'm pretty sure. But in a game with a better design system like League of Legends or Dota 2, that's particularly important. And you're not playing for the benefit of your teammates. Your teammates are just random strangers. It's likely in a lot of games that you'll never meet them again. Again, not terribly true in Town of Salem. I've played with a lot of these players before, but in League of Legends and Dota 2, you're very rarely going to be paired against the same people again. And these people that you're playing with, they could be racist homophobes. They could be horrendous feeders. They could be whiny dictators. It doesn't matter. When you play for yourself. You win not for them, but for yourself, right? You win to climb, to learn more about the game, to have fun. You shouldn't be playing just to sabotage some other person. You're not going to be happy in the long run doing that. And you're not going to climb in the long run doing that. Again, you're not going to outperform the expectations of the algorithms by sabotaging yourself whenever you get a team that isn't better than the enemy team, right? If that seems selfish, playing for yourself, playing for your own development, playing to win, and not caring either way what happens to your teammates, then you can visualize a sort of different scenario. Imagine you aren't playing for your teammates, but instead you're playing for something like the blue side. and you are their agent, their representative, their champion. Imagine like a little blue village somewhere on the verge of being sacked by the vicious red barbarians, and their only hope is intervention by mercenaries like you. They appeal for your protection, right? And if you come to their aid and they receive it, they'll survive against this threat. And you are that knight errant. You're the protector of the weak. You're the defender of the defenseless. And you talk with the village and you hear their plight and you offer to represent them and be, their guy. And as you leave the village off to battle, a small child runs up to you and they offer you their favorite toy, right? It's always kept them safe. It'll keep you safe in your battles. And they say, "Are you going to win?" Looking up at you with eyes as big as saucers, and you look down on them and say, "Have no fear, child. I will keep you safe." And they ask, "You promise?" There's a war-weary face in the child's eyes, but you see a spark of hope, the first that they've had since the Red Barbarians began their campaign of terror. And you say, "Yes, little one, I promise." And then you cut to a few days later, and you lost the game, and you return to the burned-out husk of the village, and the bleeding and dying on the ground is the child that you pledged to protect. And in broken words made difficult by the blood in their lungs, they ask you, "What happened? You promised they'd be safe. What are you going to say to them?" Is your response going to be, "Oh, Mid was a feeder, not my fault"? Like, no, you sociopath. What is wrong with you? I mean, this is all a little bit over the top. Sure, this is adding a lot of drama to something. Again, this isn't even really that competitive a game. You don't have to put that burden on you of little children will die if you lose, but that's the way you need to orient your mind. It's the way you need to think about things. You're trying to win. If not for yourself, then for some third party that you've made promises to, for some concept, for some ideal, right? You're playing to win because other players deserve to play against other players who are playing to win. They deserve to have that challenge and that satisfaction of going against that type of player, right? And all of the excuses, all of the, I didn't try my best because I didn't think this guy deserved to win, all of those things go away when you think about it in those terms, right? What are you going to say to that kid that you let down, right? A player on my team didn't deserve to win, so I guess your village gets burned to the ground? Like, no. You stand in the ashes of those blue villagers and ask the ghosts if your excuse matters, and their silence is your answer. I don't know. I got on a really, really dramatic tangent there, but I think that eliminating these pitfalls in your thinking, eliminating these incorrect ways of going about things, and avoiding these scenarios where you find yourself playing the game not to win, not to even have fun, but just to take vengeance against some guy you don't like. It's not the way you want to end up in these games, and maybe it's extremely over the top to imagine that dying child, right, that you failed to protect because you weren't trying your hardest in the game. But again, like, you should be playing to win. I think there's a lot more enjoyment to get out of playing the game to try and win it, as opposed to what this doctor did, which is just saying, "Look, I recognize this guy from the previous game. I don't like him. I'm just going to throw." Right? Or like, I'm going to claim that he's suspicious, and if I'm right, then I'm helping myself, and if I'm wrong, well, I wasn't going to win anyways because this guy's just so bad. Oh. There's a lot else to mindset as well about trying to develop as a player, trying to improve. It's not just about trying your hardest, but also being able to analyze your own play, recognize patterns that are leading to your losses. But I think the first step has to be putting yourself in that mindset where you are trying to win, where you're actually focused on achieving that outcome. And I think, I don't know, some people will think of this sort of throwing as a variant of playing to have fun, right? Some of them will think of it as, oh, well, this guy, he's just playing to have fun. This isn't a serious game. If he wants to screw up somebody, then hey, that's how he's getting his fun. How can you really, go against that? I don't know. I think if you meet these people in real life, they aren't happy. I don't think they're having much fun. And I think the people who would say that they are not playing to have fun, they continue playing because they are having fun, right? They the people who play to win, the people who are trying to have that serious competitive experience, they actually have a lot of fun doing that because they rise to a level where they are challenged. They rise to a level where they are really tested and forced to develop as a player and get better. And that leads to a sense of fulfillment, a sense of satisfaction that you can't get just by trolling around in low rank stuff. Finally, at this point, I decide it's time to report this guy. He faked a sheriff claim. He literally isn't disguiser or anything like that. He faked a sheriff claim as town, claimed our veteran was fake. Just really threw us all for a loop. I don't think there was a way of coming back from that, given that Jailer had died night one. And notice like the difference, right? Jailer wasn't tryharding. If Jailer was tryharding, Jailer would have revealed day one and played Jailer meta, which is really hard to do, and really stressful for a lot of people, so they don't do it. But Jailer wasn't throwing, right? Jailer just said, I'm not going to absolutely try my hardest, but he's still playing to win. He's still going to get that sense of satisfaction of playing the game with the intent of winning it. St. Kingmaker is going to go to the next game. He's still probably going to be just as angry as he was at the start of this game, right? I don't think that this is just healthy. So, what are the lessons learned from this game? Well, I guess a few. Number one, it's the summertime. You got to be prepared for throwers. You got to be prepared for guys who just are going to do what happened here, and they're just going to lie and fake stuff. And you yourself are just going to have to be mentally resilient enough to shake it off and say, look, Jailer might have disconnected in my game because the servers are bad. That's fine. This guy's throwing in my game. That's fine, right? You go into the next game and hope to get a good one and play your best, and don't do like some people would. The takeaway from this will be, I'm going to get into the next game, and if I see St. Kingmaker in my game, well, I'm going to fake claim sheriff and say that they're suspicious and I'm going to get them back. That's not what you want to do. You want to keep on focused, remain focused on playing the game to the best of your abilities, learning more about the game, developing yourself as a player. And I think a lot of this talk is more true for a game like League of Legends or Dota 2, where there really is like an actual competitive rank system. Like the ladder is something that people take more seriously, where there is, I mean, again, I've shown games in the past here where 1,400 rated players are thrown into games with 2,400 rated players. The matchmaking in a game like League of Legends or Dota 2 is going to be a lot more rigorous and not do that. You're not going to see a lot of, silvers or gold players in, high masters games in League of Legends. But yeah, Sana's pretty upset. I get it. People are pointing out that you don't need to keep the same name, which I think is a good idea as well. That also is a good lesson to take from this. Don't keep the same name between games. Switch up your names. You see me switching up my names because I don't want to deal with any of this stuff. But yeah, I think we're gonna cut the episode here. I think I've said all I need to say, maybe a little bit more dramatically than I needed to. But yeah, I'm not going to show the usernames for these people because I don't think that's going to be productive either. But yeah, try and keep your mentality good in this game. Don't try and take vengeance against other players. Play to win. Just keep on trying to improve and shake off games like this, right? I've had a lot of games this week where just disconnects, throwers, all sorts of stuff have ruined the games. Even when I'm on the winning side, it doesn't feel very good because you're denied, you're cheated out of the experience of playing against people who are trying to win. Like you win, but who cares, right? Like you gain 2 elo, big whoop, right? I mean, the more tilting thing is when you disconnect and you lose 15 elo. That's a little bit harder. But yeah, stay cool. Avoid the salt if you can, and don't fall into the mental pitfalls that some of the players in this game have. All right, that's it for this episode. I'll catch you guys next time.